Basically, dude, I want to have like 100K following. I want to have everything super engaged,
Right.
and I want to literally be able to live off of my audience.
All right, folks, welcome to another episode of Undeniable One on One. This is a series for you, the remote sales professionals, where we break away from the generic one size fits all training that all the trainers are just regurgitating to every single person, no matter their situation. What we're doing here is really showcasing the power of having a personalized mentorship, someone in your corner that knows you, knows your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears, when you need a kick in the ass, when you need a shoulder to cry on, right? And offering that counterintuitive advice that you're not going to just hear from everybody or type into Chat GPT, but real heavy hitting advice. And I know I say this every time, but we have a very, very special guest here, one of my favorite people in the remote sales space. And just, I think, an inspiration for so many people because, as you know, there's these camps, right? There's the grind and sell camp, and there's the personal brand camp, and there's all you should do is sell, and then there's all you should do is lifestyle. And I think this person has always teetered on both lines. He's always put his time and effort behind skill, but he's also taken the time to showcase the behind the scenes and build a brand for himself. He's always learned from different people. He's one of the most well-known people in this space. He's had amazing results, worked with some of the best companies on the planet. And hopefully this comes out before, but he is throwing a mastermind. We're actually in the same city now, and he's throwing an amazing mastermind. He's a mover and a shaker. And like I said, one of my favorite people in space, JD Daniel, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, thanks for having me, dude. I like that. I appreciate the intro. Um,
Awesome. Let's do it. What do you got for me? What's going on with you?
so I'm realizing as I look at like different ways to navigate the industry, right? Whether it's being like a growth operator, getting a percentage here, right? Whether it is running an event, anything, right? I'm realizing how powerful brand is, right? The more influence you have, the I don't want to say easier, but the more leverage you have in anything you
Yeah.
do, right? You can make a post, you make 10 grand, right?
Yeah.
So I've I think I've taken my foot off the gas pedal when it comes to branding. And
Yep.
so I started a series, right? So I'm on day 32 of like remote closure to millionaire, right? And it's just literally me every day
Great
talking
series.
about what I'm doing. Dude, yeah, and I've traveled like 5 or 6 different places in that time period, like from
Yeah.
Texas to Canada. So I'm doing that series. I'm mainly just posting long form on YouTube, but it's
Okay.
not getting a ton of views. Um, and I know this is a little vague, but I'm curious what you feel I could do from like a content perspective, right? Like you ain't like right
Mhm.
with the marketing department. From a content perspective, what could I do better to further my reach, right? Influence more people. And
Right.
yeah, basically, dude, I want to have like 100K following. I want to have everything super engaged,
Right.
and I want to literally be able to live off of my audience, right?
Right.
And the ultra leverage. What can I do at this stage?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not the best person to give advice on building a large following, especially on YouTube. But what I'm looking at is okay. There's a base here, and I like what you've done in that you've documented the journey, right? I remember your first video that came out when we first got connected, got like 33,000 views on it, and it wasn't anything high production value. It wasn't mind blowing content, but it was just I'm taking you along with me. And I feel like,
Right.
hey, you're going back to that tank again, right? But we have to evolve it. We always have to be looking at that next level, right? And so, we know that people's attention span is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, right? And so, what I think about is kind of, in our terms, it's a funnel, right? And so when you look at some of the best players when it comes to those brands and those, that big audience, right? You look at Joe Rogan. Well,
Mhm.
typically, like I used to watch him religiously. Now it's like I pick and choose, right? And so what I do is like I'll see a clip and like, oh, this person's on. Okay, that's cool. And what I'll do is I'll check out a little clip, like maybe a short, and then I'll go check out maybe like a 5 minute piece. And if I like that 5 minute piece, then I'm going to watch it. Right. And so
Right.
there's like, how do you get people to commit a little bit and like that give to get to move them to the next section? Right. And so I
Right.
think I really like the documenting the journey, but now how can we use the full breadth of the platform we have? Because again, like uh, I tend to think, right, whenever I'm telling someone to optimize their profile, I'm like, LinkedIn or Facebook, nothing's by accident. You know that these players, like, they're spending billions of dollars on research. They know where people's eyes go. They know what's important. So if they ask you
Yeah.
to do something, if they provide you like, hey, I noticed the banner on Facebook is gigantic, right? Like,
Right.
that's calculated. There's a reason there. They're telling you, hey, this banner is really important because that's what's going to capture. And there's a lot of opportunity there, right? And then what it is, profile, bio, grid, content. So if I'm optimizing, I'm going to go all of those things, right? And so without knowing too much about how to optimize, how to grow an audience, right? The first thing I'm looking at is like, what are all the capabilities that YouTube is telling me is important? And it's
Right.
like, okay, I have the shorts, I can put a trailer in, I can have different groupings, right? Like I can categorize, I can have playlists, right? And so I'm going to say, am I maximizing the profile? Am I maximizing the platform? Am I using everything that they're giving me, knowing that they've put a lot of time and research in? So the first simple thing without too much strategy is like just going through YouTube and just seeing what opportunities when you click edit or when you click optimize, like what are they telling you to do? And I notice, okay, it's the trailer and the organization and the shorts and the long form and all of these and playlists. So I'm going to maximize all of those. I'm going to try and build around maximizing my profile, right? Now it's really about, okay, being intentional about, because again, you can, like, people buy followers all the time. That's not what you want, right? Like the 100K is not what you want. What is it that you truly want, right? Because again, like to me and how I built my business, 1,000 loyal followers will beat 100K followers, right? Like,
Agreed.
so who is it that you're speaking to, and what do you want to take them along the journey? Who is your audience, right? Because we first start with the visibility, but now it's time to be like who and what, right? Who do I want to know me, and what do I want to be known for? How can I have
Yeah.
my core values, right? And then it's really about, okay, in funneling, it's the reach, right? And then it's the nurture, and then it's convert, right? Well,
Right.
okay, where do we want to go here? And maybe you're at the point where you're like, I just want to build the audience. I don't know how to monetize. I don't know what's next, but I know that I don't want to wait, which is a smart move for anybody listening to this now. Don't wait until you know what to monetize. It's better to plant seeds now and then figure out how to monetize later or what it's going to be, right? So then it's like, okay, maybe I don't know the back end. Well, what do I want? I want reach, right? So
Right.
easiest thing, right? Get an Opus clip or some sort of chopping up, right? Some edit and just do an AI chop and get 3, 4, 5 shorts, right? That lead to the long form. I watch a couple of those shorts. Then maybe
Right.
you want to chop it up more. Maybe it's a possibility to chop it up more. And it's the 3 to 5 minute sections that give them a little piece. They watch a couple and they're like, might as well. This is pretty cool. I'll check this on. So
Right.
teasers, little pieces, right? And then I think being able to look at who's in your space, right? And look at the models, look at what you can draw from, who are the people that you follow religiously, right? And see if we can draw any from them, right? Like who are the people crushing it in this space, right? And how can we extract that? Okay, I notice they do this, or they schedule at these times, or like try and get the secret sauce and start moving towards that, right? And then it's okay, well, what are the topics? So for example, I'll just use me, right? Like what I've been doing obviously is like I have very counterintuitive advice, and you have to kind of get in before you figure it out. And I'm realizing, oh, I don't have the reach, right? And so what I'm looking at is like, what are the topics that I want to speak about that also extend reach? So instead of like the remote sales specific to what I do, right? Maybe I add in like common interview questions and answers. Now that's going to be a broader audience, but it's going to have more of that viral hit. It's going to reach more people, right? If I talk
Right.
more about mindset or personal development, like broader topics sprinkled in with the very specifics of what I'm doing, and that will introduce new audiences. So you want to balance and kind of think about, okay, this is my nurturing, or this is where I'm building my loyalty. Loyalty is one part, but now how do I get people in the door? What is the content that's going to capture their attention? And how can I broaden it up with, especially with you kind of moving and shaking, and there's so many different things, you also want to keep it broad so you don't box yourself in. Right. So it's like, okay, well, I'm traveling, I'm exercising, I'm into personal development, I'm into sales, I'm into business. What are the keyword friendly research there that I can get and reach people? Right. So it's just kind of like, what do I have in place? And then from the big picture, what's missing from that? And how can I go from 0 to 1 on that? And now maybe I have all those three, and it's like, okay, time to level this up, maybe add a second episode or a different piece, or maybe there's these 5-minute videos or these little kind of heartfelt, or maybe there's an interview section. And then it's like, how can I get the reach? How can I get people's attention? So it's like that visibility, that value, that loyalty, which part is lacking? And then how can I extend where you have all of those content pillars that cover each of the conveyor belt in?
So, and I agree. I think short form's big because you can hit so many different categories and topics, right? And just see what hits. Um, yeah, and I probably got to chop. I have so much long form content, man, and it's like I really don't doing enough short form. Um,
Drop it up, man. And then the
yeah,
other thing I would say as well is like leverage, and this is something, I mean, I'm kind of, I hate to be hypocritical, but as I'm talking to you, it's like, oh, these are things that I got to do as well. But use the audience you have now. Like, take your videos, promote them in the places where you do have that loyalty, you do have that network. Like, use the other platforms to really put that out, and put them out in places you may not think hit. Like, chuck them on Reddit or chuck them somewhere that most people aren't, and just be
right.
able to extend on your journey a little bit and add some like written context to get people hyped up, because that can also be that attention and reach. Is like, how do I get people viewing? How do I get people involved? Is maybe you put a little teaser out and you write about what they're going to see in that podcast and why it's worth their time, right? It's just that
Right.
extended reach, but get it out there on your profiles. I don't know if you're posting it on all your profiles every time you post, but use every leverage that you have.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm not doing that enough. Um, this is really good because this is kind of a stage where it's like I'm realizing how important it is to really push at the highest level possible with content, right? Because I have like a school community, and
Yeah.
it's going from 0 to 1, right? And I
Yeah.
think those are the people. So for the brand as a whole, right? Like Remote Paradise, everything, right? It's meant to be everything from like somebody who's brand new to doing like 7 figures and having a business and investing with like, main projects.
Right.
But I think the people that resonate with me the most, like in terms of like seeing me as some kind of authority figure, something that's fun to watch, is going to be the newer people, right? Like I want to work from home, I want to do my job. So
Right.
yeah, I think if I can do the shorts and that content tailored to them, that might.
Right. And just for the leanness, especially in adding in these things, like make it like, I think those are your sections, which is like, follow me building a school community, right? Like
Yeah,
that's a chapter. And anytime you're working on school, your content's right there. Right. And so
right,
then it's like, behind that scenes. And then it's like, 35-day countdown to event. Right. And that's
right,
another series. And those can be little short pieces just based on like what I'm doing today. It also doubles as accountability, because you're like, hey, if I'm not doing anything worth recording, right? Like a little clip in the morning of like, hey guys, I just want to check in. These are the things that I'm going to accomplish, right? I want us to all be accountable and feed off each other. So I'm posting now and I'm going to throw all these things out and throw myself to the fire, right? End of the day, hey guys, check, check, check. I missed this one, so I'm going to stay some extra hours and finish up, but I just wanted to throw this out there. Boom. All of a sudden now it's like, now you have 3, 4, 5, 6 different categories of content just based on the things that you're doing. Because, I think it's powerful that not everybody resonates with this kind of monogamous business model, right? I'm talking to more people that are like, I don't want to just do one thing. I like the variety of different things, and I like doing this and I like doing that. And there's a model for that, but everybody who's selling something, it's complicated for them. Just like this personalized mentorship is not scalable, so most people don't want to do it. They want to put everybody in a box and have one thing. I don't want to do that. I want to have different conversations with different people, right? And so like you're doing a bunch of different things. I believe that each one of those can be a little mini series. You don't have to do the long form with each one. Maybe one is like, 2-minute Tuesdays, and it's like every Tuesday you hit 2 minutes, and that's a series. And then,
Right.
it's follow me on my journey to build a school community, and it's 0 to 1, and then it's the events, and then it's
Right.
like the fitness, and then it's the personal journey, and it's spiritual, whatever it is, right? But like each it really is the personal side of the personal brand, where like each series is a part of you and the whole gets connected through one thing. But there's like, I think people are too worried about like, oh, well, I'm doing this, I got to stick with this. And it's like, no, the variety, you're going to catch some people from the school and they're like, oh, I didn't even think about events. And then they come over to the other stuff. Right. But you're also going to catch the big picture of like, I connect with Jay Daniels stuff because I am a variety guy as well. And I want to do a bunch of stuff, and I'm dreaming and I'm moving and I'm shaking and I'm doing all of
Yeah.
these things, right? Like I think of Ricky. Ricky is a perfect example. Another guy who every time you talk to him, he's got a new business model, but he's excited about it. And that's how he moves. And he likes having his hand in a bunch of different cookie jars. And that's a tribe in itself, right? So it's like you get the new people, but everybody's posting the new people. It's like you tell them it's okay to be doing different things and have a buffet style approach to business, to life. I'm trying new things. I'm in new places. I'm mixing up the workout routine. I'm talking to different groups. And that's what I really was drawn to you in the beginning, is like different groups. You'd be over here and it's like all these different camps that are stupidly against each other. And then it's like, oh, Jay Daniels over here and he's in UCM and he's over at seventh and he's doing. And so you didn't play by those rules. And I think it's the same thing that you're doing in business. It's like you got a little of this, a little of that. And I think that's entertaining, and it allows people permission to experiment to these things, but you also tap into multiple audiences and maybe introduce them to the other things too. So, build that variety into your content just by behind the scenes, and just, low production value pop up. This is what I'm doing, school, this, that, the other thing, and just give them the full buffet.
I like that. That's so good. Yeah, because it's true. That's always like the thinking, right? Like, okay, let me be linear, let me crush it in one thing. So you almost feel guilty for
Yeah.
doing a whole bunch of different things. Um,
But that's
but
you.
I like,
Right.
right,
That's you. That's authentic you, right? That'd be like,
right,
me being guilty for, swearing on calls. That's just who I am, right? It's like, or
right.
traveling or taking time off, or, like, people tried to guilt me for offer hopping. And it's like, every company I worked with was happy with my performance. I was very mindful of communicating what I was looking for and what I was willing to do. And I always left companies better than I found them. And so it's like, that's me pretending anything
Right.
else or hiding that part. It's like, I'm not recommending it for anybody else, but it worked for me. And there's enough people like you and me and the other people we know that are similar, that you're gonna push a lot of people away so you can get your tribe. Right. And when you talk about
Right.
Elon, or you talk about Joe Rogan, or you talk about anybody that has a giant following, you're going to have a bunch of people that say, well, Jay Daniel is just, he's got his hand in too many cookie jars. JD is just, too much this way or too much that way. Like that hater count will go up. But what will happen is you'll push so many people away, and that will strengthen the people that you have. And you see that as people climb, right? And that, the bigger, to get a big audience, 100K, you're going to have, 5,000 haters.
So, it's so good. I love that. And I can see that too. Because literally, um, literally, right? Like it's like the brand identity is literally my personal vision for my life, right?
Yeah,
Which people can resonate with. So,
that's
which
it.
isn't a linear one thing, right? Like the reason I told you I lost like 25 pounds, right? Like the reason I had to lose this weight is because, right? It's like it was okay, let's just do sales. And then we get really out of shape and then we start working out and eating a bunch of food. But
Yeah.
like the best life that I envision for myself is every area is dope. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so if I can encapsulate that into a series and literally just post content for each one,
Yeah. Break it up.
something that comes to mind when I think about that is almost like I don't want to say overwhelm. Let's go with that. Almost a little overwhelm in terms of like, okay, posting about this, posting about this, posting about this, posting about this, posting about this. how do you how would you navigate something like that just in regards to content and documenting?
If you have to think about it, it's already too complex, right?
Right.
So you're thinking about, oh, creating the con. It's literally like, hey guys, I'm just setting up a new video. Like I just wanted to show you a little trick I found for uploading it. Like you're
Right.
literally doing the thing. So it's like
Yeah.
you should be able to look at your calendar and the content is based off what you're accomplishing that day. If you have to think,
Right.
I call it like the content island. So a lot of people, they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't have time for content because they have to think about it. They have to ideate. They have to curate. It's like, no, no, no. For these things, it's literally like, I'm going to the outdoor gym, right? It's not like, oh,
Mm.
what am I going to do? It's like, I'm literally doing it. Like, oh, I'm just about to jump on a live in our school community. I'll give you guys the first 10 minutes or 5 minutes and I just record in the background. Like it is literally like following you in the day. The content is what you're doing and that's it.
Yeah.
Right. So like keep
So
it
good.
lean. And then when you have something like maybe there's an end of the day, start of the day, like add it in as you need to explain it. Right. Like, hey guys, I
Hmm.
just recorded this video, but I wanted to add in a little something. Like as it comes up naturally, then add in those additions. But
Yeah.
especially where you have so many hands and different cookie dough, like if you have to think about what the content is, you already over complexify. Like it is
Right.
literally, I'm taking you along with me. And it's the scene, it's the video, it's the little audio message. Hey guys, I'm about to do this. And it's just something came to me. Like it should be in
Mhm.
your calendar. It should be through the event of like, what did I do today? What did I learn today? What did I accomplish? What challenge did I face? Like you are the content your pursuits produce. And if it's anything
Right.
more than that in the beginning, it's just not going to be habitual. Right. So there's like,
Gotcha.
what's the content I don't even have to think about? Just turn it on, just record the screen, just bring people on. Right. It's like I overthought it for so long and I'm like, what do I love doing? I love these calls, man. Every time I get on a call with you, I'm like, there's magic there, right? We feed off each other and I'm like, I have so many of these calls. I'm doing them anyway. And I'm trying to like
Mhm.
write a post on the magic of person. I'm like, just show people what happens when you have someone who cares about you, who's giving you one-on-one advice, right? Like, what am I doing? I'm trying to create content to show what this is. Just show what this is. So I'm like, I'm having these calls all day, every day. Why not just record them and put them up? And so it's like, this is me. I'm not thinking about like, okay, when Jay Daniel gets on the call today, like I want to set this up because, some of our people, no, like that's too much, right? It's like, get it,
Right.
press record, flow it. If you hate it, don't put it out, right? Like that's the beautiful thing about it. When you record it, if you're like, nah, that sucks, then you had to do the thing anyway, right? So it's like
100%.
when it's lean like that, it's just everything is a piece of content. And this is what I tell like UCM students who are bringing this to the remote sales journey. It's like, oh man, I struggle with content ideas. I'm like, that's a content idea. Not only is it one content idea, that's 10 content ideas. One piece of content. Who else struggles with content? Who else wants to do content but struggles with the ideation? Right? Like who here struggles with writer's block? Like I found this video or this podcast that talks about writer's block, right? Like the lesson they learned or their idea. Like there's 20 pieces of content on the idea that I can't come up with content, right?
Right.
They're trying to hit this home run viral sensation thing instead of just like the content is in the action. The content is in the
Right.
pursuit because then you can't lose.
So good. And that simplifies the entire content game. And it
Yeah.
just that's so good. I
And the
appreciate that.
accountability is built in too, because you're like, I got to do some shit
Agreed.
today. Right. And it's like,
Agreed.
if I'm not recording, it's because I'm not doing anything or not learning anything. So now it's just
Right.
like do and learn content, content, do, learn
Mhm.
content, content. Right. And you can't lose. Right?
And yeah, just document it, don't create.
Yeah.
Make your life easier.
Simple. So simple, man. Yeah, that's the what we're going to be doing is just more documenting, just more behind the scenes. Right. This is where I am. We're both in Colombia. Like there's enough cool stuff. And it actually inspires doing cool shit as well. right? It's like,
Right.
okay, if I'm just going to do it, then maybe I'm going to do some cool stuff on the weekend and bring people along. So it's like, it improves your lifestyle, it improves accountability, and it makes authentic, real, and it makes you think about what you're doing as well, right? Because you're like, oh, people are going to see this, right? I want to make sure I'm doing the right things and putting the right work in. I love
Right.
it. Just live it and bring people along. That's the key, man.
Be the party, and everybody else can join.
That's it, man. Well, I really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah,
For
what's up?
anybody watching along, check out Jay Daniel. He's got some cool things going on. Where can people find you, by the way?
Yeah. Just you can find me on Instagram, J Daniel Castro. You can, I mean, LinkedIn, Facebook, right, YouTube. Those are kind of the main platforms. So just type J Daniel Castro, you'll find me.
I love it. Appreciate you so much, man. And for anybody watching this, again, start the content game. You never know what it's going to be, but honestly, like content is a compounding interest activity, right? Networking and personal branding are compounding interest, meaning you make the investment and you see the return over time. But when you have it, you don't even know the opportunities you're missing out on. You don't know what you're going to be doing in 5 years, right? Jay didn't know what he was going to be doing now. He didn't know he was going to be running this event, but I guarantee he's very happy that he did do the networking and branding that he did for the last couple of years. So start it. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Right. So if you like this video, which I hope you did, please subscribe so we can keep giving you the content. Make sure you see it. Subscribe to Jay Daniel stuff as well, because he wants all those followers. But stay tuned. If you have any questions, I'm always in the comment section. Let me know. And if you'd like to be featured on a future episode, love to hear from you. Make sure you're in our Facebook group. Got a ton of value there. Best Facebook group in remote sales by far. Right. And yeah, reach out. Just reach out. DMs, whatever. But appreciate y'all. Appreciate you, Jay Daniel. Take care, guys.
Got it.
Peace.
See you guys.
All right, that's it. I want to thank you for watching today, and I hope you received some value from this training session. Make sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell icon to be notified when we release the next training session. If you would like to be featured on a future training session, make sure to join our remote sales community on Facebook. I'll leave a link in the description. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover on a future training session, just leave a comment below. Appreciate you. Onwards and upwards.